Before we get started, I just want to apologize to everybody for the break I took. Life been lifing, but I'm back. Gonna do my best to keep it consistent. Chapter 3, Fresh Beginnings. Scene 12, August 15th. Summertime was coming to a wrap, and what a summer it had been. Despite all the action we saw this summer, a major highlight came on August 15th. It felt like one of those summers that moved fast while you was in it, but looking back, you could point at 100 little moments that made it what it was. Long days that turned into longer nights, being outside more than being in the house, not really thinking about what came next. This was a bittersweet day. On one hand, it was my cousin Kenny's birthday. Kenny was my younger cousin off my dad's side, easily my closest cousin off that side of the family. Kenny and I always clicked. He was born exactly 7 days before I am. Had he been born a week later, I would have been exactly 1 year older than him. Add to that fact, he lived on 29th Street as well. He lived between West and Washington Street, 4 blocks up from where we lived. That whole stretch of 29th felt like it was ours in a way. You could walk it without thinking, knowing who was going to be outside, whose house you could stop at, and whose porch you needed to stay away from depending on the day. On the other hand, this was the day my family was moving from Northside. My parents had settled on a house in late June. I knew they was looking to move, but never did I think it was going to happen so soon. They started searching in late April, and by the end of June, they had settled. It felt like something that was supposed to take forever that just didn't. Newcastle was the destination, a community called Jefferson Farms. Newcastle wasn't Wilmington, but it was close enough to see the city from the freeway if you squinted. Close enough to see it, but not close enough to feel it. It was quiet and clean, but there weren't even any street lights. No corner stores, no random people walking past, no noise bleeding through the windows at night. Newcastle was everything a city kid like me wasn't supposed to like, and somehow that made it feel even more unfamiliar. The moving trucks rolled up early in the morning. The sound of them coming down the block felt out of place, like something big was about to happen, and everybody knew except me. I stood outside of our house over Northside watching my dad direct the movers. He was locked in, pointing, telling them where everything needed to go like he had already accepted it. All the while, my mom fussed over boxes like we were shipping a museum. She kept opening and closing things, double-checking labels, making sure nothing got misplaced. They both moved like this was just another day, but I could tell it wasn't. It never is when you're packing up your whole life. CeeLo, Mitch, and Kenny were helping us out with the move. They had already started laughing at the idea of me going to William Penn, the biggest school in the state. Good luck, Ace. You're going to be lost in that big-ass school not knowing nobody, said Kenny. They were going to high school with all their friends from middle school. Wilmington High for CeeLo, and Mount Pleasant for Mitch. As for Kenny, he still had another year of middle school left. They laughed, but it wasn't just jokes. They were staying, and I wasn't. That was the part that sat underneath everything. The thing about moving was, it felt like I was leaving a part of myself behind. Not just the house, but the rhythm of everything. Northside would always be home, but this was a test I hadn't asked for. I wasn't saying it out loud, but there are a lot of questions floating around in my head. Questions I didn't even fully understand yet. I kept them to myself because it felt like everyone was too busy to deal with all that now. And honestly, I didn't even know how to put it into words without sounding like I was complaining. "Where's V at?" asked Kenny. "Isn't he supposed to be helping us out with all this?" V wasn't with us. V wasn't moving to Newcastle with us. My parents owned their house on 29th Street and was letting him stay there. That part didn't sit right with me, even if I didn't fully show it. The house was still going to be there. The block was still going to be there. Pieces of my life still in place, just without me in it. "Nah, he not moving with us. He's still going to be living here," I answered. "Did you ever ask your parents could you stay with him and go to high school?" asked Mitch. "You already know I did. That was the first question when they told me he wasn't moving with us. Seemed like they had that no locked and loaded waiting for that question." I didn't push it after that. There wasn't really nothing else to say. I just stood there for a second, looking up and down the block, watching everything move while at the same time feeling like something in me was standing still. Movers going in and out, boxes stacking up, doors opening and closing like routine that didn't include me anymore. Northside would always be home, but I could already feel it turn into something I have to remember instead of live. Scene 13, August 22nd. A week later, it was my birthday, August 22nd, same day as Aunt Nettie's. Growing up, that always made the day feel bigger than me. I never got a solo birthday. It was always ours. When I was younger, I didn't mind. As I got older, I realized it fits me perfectly. I was never one who needed the spotlight anyway. This year felt different. For the first time ever, I woke up on my birthday not in Wilmington. Jefferson Farms was quiet in a way that still felt unnatural to me. No car radios, couldn't hear the neighbors, just birds and an occasional dog barking. I laid in bed for a minute, staring at the ceiling, letting everything sink in. 13 was gone, and 14 felt heavier already. My mom knocked on my door early. "Happy birthday, Ace," she said, smiling like she was trying to convince herself this was normal too. "Thanks, Ma." My dad was already dressed, sitting at the kitchen table having breakfast like it was any other day. He nodded at me and said, "Happy birthday, Mr. K." My dad was the only person who didn't call me Ace. Maybe because I was named after him. I really don't know. He always just called me Mr. K. Later that afternoon, we drove back into the city. No matter where we lived, August 22nd still belonged to Wilmington. Aunt Nettie's house was already jumping when we pulled up. Cars double parked, music spilling out the windows, and kids running in and out like it was a block party instead of a birthday. As soon as I walked in, Aunt Nettie grabbed me. "Look at you," she said, holding my face like I was still 5. 14 already. Where did the time go? "Same place it went for you," I said. "You just got more candles to prove it." She fell out laughing and smacked my arm. "Boy, you think you slick." The house smelled like good food, same as always. Fried chicken, sweet potatoes, collard greens, and my personal favorite, mac and cheese. A smaller menu than our normal family functions, but enough for a celebration. Different generations occupied different parts of the house like it was an unspoken agreement. The older folks posted in the living room, drinks in hand, and laughing loud. Our generation floated between the porch, the basement, and the backyard, trying to look grown without actually being grown. CeeLo and Mitch pulled up together. CeeLo looked different. Not taller, not older exactly, just more comfortable in himself. He had on fresh kicks, a graphic tee, and the same confident smile, but it sat on his face a little differently now. Happy G-Day, fam, he said, dapping me up. Appreciate it, I said, studying him without trying to make it obvious. We ended up in the backyard as the sun started to drop. Somebody lit up the grill, and CeeLo lit up the bud, because the day was the day I decided to join the session. The smoke drifted through the backyard slow and lazy, curling up into the air. Everybody acted like it was regular, like it wasn't a line being crossed. I stood there for a second, hands in my pocket, watching it pass between them. Don't overthink it, CeeLo said, reading me without even looking at me. It's just weed. I nodded even though my heart was beating faster than it should have been. I had been around it my whole life, smelled it in the basements, on porches, in parked cars with the windows cracked. I just never joined. That always seemed to be my thing, watching instead of doing. He handed it to me. The blunt felt heavier than I expected. I turned it in my fingers, studying it like it might say something back to me. Mitch raised an eyebrow, but didn't say anything. He just waited as I took a pull. I coughed immediately. Everybody laughed. See, CeeLo said, slapping my back. You alive? My eyes watered and my chest burned. But once that passed, there was this pause. Like the world leaned back a step and told me to catch up when I was ready. I took another hit, smaller this time, and passed it along like I knew what I was doing. At first, nothing happened. I thought maybe I did it wrong. Then it crept in quietly. My shoulders loosened, and the noise around me softened. It was like somebody turned the volume knob down just enough. The laughter sounded fuller, and the music felt closer. Not louder, but closer. I didn't feel out of control. Hell, if anything, I felt more present. I sat down on the steps and just watched the way the smoke moved, the way everybody talked over top of each other but somehow understood, the way the sun dipped behind the houses and painted everything orange for a minute before disappearing. This what you been on the whole time, fam? I asked CeeLo. He smirked and simply said, I told you. I didn't suddenly feel grown, tough, or like I unlocked some secret door. It just felt like I stepped into a room I had been standing outside of for a while. As the night went on, the cake came out. 2 names, 1 set of candles. Nettie had her eyes closed like she was wishing for something deeper than what she was saying out loud. When I blew out my candles, the smoke from earlier mixed with the smoke from the cake, and for a second everything in life blurred together. Childhood, family, and growing up, it all stacked up on top of each other. 14 didn't feel like a celebration. 14 felt like permission to make grown decisions. As for my wish, well, I didn't wish for girls, didn't wish for money, didn't even wish for things to stay the same. My wish was simple. I needed clarity. Later that night, CeeLo pulled me to the side. You straight, he asked. Yeah, I'm goody, I said. Why? He shrugged. Just asking. There was a pause. One of those pauses where something could be said, but isn't. I heard you and Erica, I started, then stopped myself. CeeLo smiled. Yeah, he said. No details, no bragging, and no explanation needed. Just confirmation. I didn't feel jealous. I was just aware. This was another reminder that everybody was hitting milestones at different times. As the night wound down, people started clearing out. I sat on the steps out front for a minute just watching the city do what it always did. But I wasn't the same. I wasn't sure if I was ready for what was coming or not. I got in the car with my parents and watched Wilmington fade in the rearview mirror. I didn't know it yet, but that birthday was the end of childhood. It was the last time I would enjoy my life without it asking me to choose something. After that night, everything started coming with options. Who I wanted to be around, what I wanted to try, and what I wanted to stay away from. High school was days away, and for the first time, nobody was going to walk me to the door.